Well, friends, the War Within, World of Warcraft's newest expansion, is on the way here soon, and I promised you guys a War Within predictions video where I share my blunt, uncensored, and unfiltered opinions on where I think this expansion is going to go. I've had the opportunity to play the alpha, I've had the opportunity to play the beta, I've had the opportunity to look at the community's reaction to Blizzard's content that they're putting out surrounding the expansion. So these are my opinions as a person who's been playing this game since the early days of Vanilla WoW, all the way back in the early 2000s. And let's just talk about the War Within, shall we? The pros and the cons. Real fast, this video and the channel is sponsored by Zygor, linked down below in the description. If you are looking for World of Warcraft's ultimate guide add-on that can help you level faster or make more gold, get those achievements, those mounts, those pets, anything you want really, Zygor is the place to go. Check them out via the link in the description. And if you do decide to get Zygor at some point after checking out their free trial, feel free to use code Nixxiom for 20% off. It will be updated for the War Within on day one. Guys, check them out, link down below in the description. Let us talk about the pros. For those that did not play Shadowlands, to say that Shadowlands was a divisive and or hated expansion would be an understatement. Shadowlands has kind of become a meme in the World of Warcraft community for how much people disliked it. And, they certainly had their reasons. Anyway, the point is that Dragonflight came out soon after. And although Dragonflight was not necessarily an amazing expansion, it certainly was considered a good expansion. It introduced a lot of really cool things to World of Warcraft. We had the Drakthir, we had our very first sort of support spec coming into the game. We had dragon flying being introduced. The list goes on. Dragonflight was a beloved expansion, and there are many people that are sad to see it go. So the first pro of the War Within is that it is continuing where Dragonflight has left off. Dragonflight introduced a couple of new features to the game, although they were not entirely game-breaking. They were just fun, like the Drakthir, like dragon flying. And War Within is doing the same thing. Of course, we're getting the Warbands system to help us with leveling up alts, to making new characters more fun, which is something that people, well, not necessarily they've been asking for the Warband system, but something like it for many, many years. Just a system to make the game feel better because everything is just account-wide, your reputation, so on and so forth. It makes leveling alts a lot smoother when you get extra rewards and stuff for repeating quests and whatnot. The Warband system's really cool. And then, of course, we have Delves. Delves, of course, are like Torghast from Shadowlands, although a little bit better thought out. You had a greater variety of Delves and whatnot, bosses to fight, things to see. I made a whole video sharing my thoughts on Delves recently. If you want to check it out, I'll put it at the end of this video on the end screen. But anyway, the point is that the War Within just seems to be doing things that are safe but good. Just, kind of relying on things that the players really have wanted for a while. The next thing that I think is a pro for the War Within is the fact that it's the beginning of the World Soul saga. So the War Within is the first expansion of a three-part expansion storyline that we are about to indulge in. And so naturally, people, if Blizzard is planning this, I don't know, 6-7 year story of expansions that they're going to be releasing, obviously World of Warcraft fans are going to want to be there for the beginning, the middle, and the end of the storyline. The World Soul saga and what is coming to the future of the game and how it's going to change World of Warcraft over the years is something that has certainly generated a lot of buzz since its announcement. And so I think that as well is a good pro for the War Within. It's something that a lot of people are looking forward to. And number three, the third thing that I would say is going to be a huge pro for the War Within are just Delves. I already mentioned Delves before, but I really can't, stress, for those that weren't there, you don't really understand, but it really cannot be stressed, just how much people did not like Torghast back during Shadowlands. So having a new version of Torghast that's more properly thought out, that has more variety to it, and it's also meant to be an entirely new way to approach endgame. You can approach endgame single player style. You don't have to go in raids anymore or PvP to get the best gear. You can just, do it with Delves, just a couple of friends, whatever. Just introducing that to the game, I think is going to be a huge pro. Although I will say that there are certainly some potential cons to Delves, mostly just repetitiveness. Again, I talk all about that in that video that I made, that I mentioned that I was going to put at the end of this video. But the point is like, I think that if Delves deliver what Blizzard is promising that they're going to deliver, I think that they will do very well. It's certainly going to be a pro for the game. I just wonder how Blizzard is going to continue the system going forward into future expansions. Like, you know, is every expansion in the future going to have like 12 new delves and stuff? Like, I guess we're going to have to find out. Those are like the major pros, at least in my opinion, to the War Within. The thing that I'm excited for, the World Soul Saga storyline. Where are we going? Delves, is it going to be any good? We're going to find out. And hey, you know, we're continuing off, you know, the lessons that we learned from Shadowlands. Let's just slowly keep making the game better and better. All right. And keep listening to feedback, you know, hopefully. Okay. So cons, however, there are some cons and concerns and worries with the War Within. It's not all sunshine and rainbows over here. Not with the World of Warcraft community and not with me. So the first thing that I'm going to say is this, like things that I'm worried about with the War Within. I don't think that this expansion is doing enough to draw in new players, and it's not really doing enough to excite old players. Other than the Warband and the Delves system, there's really not much to say about the War Within. There is no new class. There's no new big fan service being introduced in this expansion. Like, here comes Arthas again, here comes Illidan. Like, there's nothing really to like super hype up the veteran players. Like, yes, we've been asking for a Warband system for a long time. Of course we have. But it's like, okay, cool, we got it. It's gonna get boring in 10 minutes. And then the delves, this is my concern, I might be wrong about this, but like, okay, like we got these delves, cool. Once we do them, like, you know, 36 times, like do each of them, like however many times, you know, they're gonna get a little dull possibly, you know, I don't know. So, and then we're just gonna go back to raiding and PvP and stuff. And so that feature just becomes dead. Not for everybody, but for some people that could very much happen. So, like, the thing is just, well, you know, I don't feel like War Within has like the bite to it that an expansion, like let's say Cataclysm did back in the day. Worgen and goblins, and we're redoing the entire old world, and you know, all this new stuff, man. Archaeology, Wrath of the Lich King, you know, Death Knights, like the friggin' Inscription Profession, Northrend, the Lich King. War Within is just like, oh, here's some account-wide crap. Here's some single player end game. And by the way, we're gonna be fighting another pissed off elf woman. And that's pretty much it. Like that's the War Within in a nutshell. So I feel like it's not really doing enough to entice new players and to draw in old players. The next thing that I would say is a con with the War Within. This is a bit of a small one, small rant, but I really don't like the main villain that Blizzard has been establishing for the War Within. Like some people know who Zalatash is. Like they played what was it, a Shadow Priest back in Legion. They're aware of this character, they're aware of the whispers, they're aware of, like, you know, her established lore and build up and so on and so forth. Yes, there are some players, but I think that like I would argue, and leave your comments down below, I could be completely wrong with what I'm about to say, completely wrong. But I think that there's going to be a lot of players out there that have no idea who this person is. Like, who even is this? And they have to go and look up a Novel 87 video just to learn, like, where the heck did this woman come from? All right. It's kind of like if you were a pure Horde player back in like the early days of World of Warcraft, like I was, for example, like, you know, Vanilla WoW TBC into Wrath of the Lich King. When Bolvar 4-Dragon became the Lich King, I was like, who the heck is this? Like, I had never even heard of this guy. You know, true story. You know, so I feel like this character is kind of coming out of nowhere for some players. Maybe not for me so much. Like, I've been aware of her, but it's not like I played, you know, Shadow Priest back in Legion. So it's not like I've ever interacted with this character. So she is kind of coming out of nowhere for me, but not really, not entirely. I mean, I knew Blizzard was going to do something with her eventually. But for other people, they are just like, oh, you know, who is this? And I think as well, Blizzard has a thing for evil elf women lately. We just had what, like 8 years of like dealing with Sylvanas, you know, this pissed off elf bitch, and now we're gonna have another pissed off elf bitch. So it's just like, okay, well, you know, whatever. You know, no big deal, I guess. It's just like, come on, you know. I think people want maybe another big roided out, sweaty Garrosh Hellscream tier character. You know what I mean? Like or maybe some big sweaty pissed off Tauren. Like, you know, I don't know, like, you know, this evil Tauren who's like, you know, creating something like, you know, he's making everybody shop organic, and like we have to stop him. Like, you know, like, I don't know, that's more of like a minor like criticism, but it is something I just wanted to talk about, because I've also seen people say that in like comment sections, like, oh, you know, here we go again, you know. But anyway, like, Blizzard, do something original. But you know, whatever. So the third thing that I would say as well is a big concern with the War Within, before I go to my conclusions, is and this is something that comes up quite often as well. World of Warcraft is very much divided at the moment. I mean, we've got like what? We've got Classic WoW, Season of Discovery, Hardcore Classic. We've got Cataclysm, the War Within. Like, we've got all these different versions of World of Warcraft, man. And you know, it does make people say like, okay, well, you know, how is this going to affect future expansion releases? Because I mean, I don't know, like, you know, how many people are actually going to go out and buy the War Within if, let's say, for example, most people are just like, oh, I'm happily playing Cataclysm? Or like, how many people are going to go buy the new expansion if everyone's like, I am happily playing Season of Discovery? You know, so like, I do worry about like, it's not just the War Within, it's future expansions as well. If Blizzard keeps dividing their player base, and one of the, you know, like, or like a handful of their players, or rather large handful, is perfectly content playing World of Warcraft in like this other version of the game, be it Cataclysm or Pandaria, or just like whatever the current thing is when a new expansion comes out, how is that going to affect new expansion sales? And how is that going to affect the next expansion if its budget or whatever is lower? I don't know. So this is just something that I've thought about. I've talked with some of the guys about it in the Cigar Lounge. And so anyway, just a small concern of mine that, you know, maybe World of Warcraft is divided up a little too much lately, but I guess we'll see. I don't know personally how much, you know, how Blizzard, you know, delegates their money, you know, like, oh, subscription money goes towards funding the new expansion, you know, like in-game store purchases goes towards, you know, server maintenance, like, you know, I don't know. So anyway, in conclusion, here is what I think of the War Within. I am hoping in my heart that the War Within is kind of like Dragonflight. When Dragonflight was coming out, a lot of people were not very excited for it. Shadowlands had been doing terrible. People were pissed off at Blizzard. There was all these allegations against Blizzard employees. The company was getting sued left and right. You know, Dragonflight comes out and people are talking about how like, oh, the drag theaters look like drag queens and stuff. And there's like all this, you know, everyone's just yelling at each other over something, whether you like it or not. Like, everyone was just pissed off and whatever. And then Dragonflight came out, okay? And you know what? It actually was a pretty fun expansion. Was it perfect? No. Was it amazing? No. But it actually was a decent expansion. I certainly had fun playing it. And I'm hoping that the War Within is going to be like that as well, because right now, at this moment, it seems like, based on what I have seen, and this is totally personal, maybe you've seen the complete opposite, browsing the internet, talking to people, looking at comment sections, it seems like people are not really that hyped for the War Within. Like, there is some hype for it, don't get me wrong, but it seems like people are more like, it just seems like everyone has this meh attitude towards it, which is unfortunate. Look at the comment section, for example, on like some of the recent War Within videos that Blizzard has released, like the recent War Within cinematic. Like, people are just like talking crap about it. Like, look at some of like the threads on Reddit or MMO Champion. It doesn't matter. Like, just look around, and like, there are a lot of people saying that this expansion just looks kind of meh. So I'm hoping that this is just like Dragonflight. Like, everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, this just looks like some old BS, and then it comes out and we're like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. Now, me personally, okay, this is 100% personal, okay? Like, I'm not trying to speak for anybody else other than myself right now. There's a lot about the War Within that I don't like. This is purely taste, okay? You might be completely different. I'm not a big fan of like underground stuff, right? Like, out flying around underground and whatnot in the beta in the War Within. Wasn't really a big fan of that. Like, the looks of the new zones and stuff were just kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's okay, but You know, I kind of prefer my sunshine and snowy mountains, but I guess that's just me. I really was hoping for maybe like another new class. If I could be a little greedy, maybe like some new professions or something coming out in this expansion. I was hoping for maybe like a big kind of revamp of the early game a little bit with this expansion, like to make it more, you know, just better for new players to really pull them in, like updating old professions to make them more fun, more relevant, maybe like touching the old world a little bit and like implementing new ways of doing quests in like Azeroth and, you know, or rather Eastern Kingdoms and Calibur. You know, I don't know, like I just wish Blizzard would like, you know, kind of get off like the end game's dick a little bit. And I wish they'd kind of do some stuff for the new players coming into this game, because, you know, if the new player is coming into this game and, you know, they're being presented nothing more than Tutorial Island and just like a bunch of like dungeon grinding until they hit max level and some like piss easy quests and stuff in the open world, they're not going to get hooked. They're not going to like become fans and stuff. You know, you can't you can't like have a game philosophy of, oh, hey, the game will get good after you've played it for 100 hours or however long it takes, you know, and you get to max level. Like once you get to max level, the game's good, but everything before that's just a big, boring, dumb chore that you have to grind through. That's terrible game design. I wish Blizzard would touch, you know, the early game a bit more. And I know that that's their plan, I think, in this World Soul Saga, but I guess we'll find out. So I wouldn't really say that I'm super hyped for the War Within personally. Like I'm definitely gonna play it. You know, I'm gonna go in with a completely open mind, just like I think all you guys are. But I guess we'll find out. You know, I love being genuinely surprised, man. And certainly Blizzard has put out expansions before that I've been like, this looks like crap, garbage. And I just loved it, man. Like Mists of Pandaria, for example, this looks like crap. Panda's stupid. Got to Mists of Pandaria, dude, this expansion's amazing. Like one of Blizzard's best. So I'm happy to be proved wrong. All right, I'm happy to be disappointed, or rather not disappointed. So those are my thoughts on the War Within. That's my quick rant. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all with my next video.